For the next hour, deepen your shade of green. This is the Shades of Green radio show, featuring the latest in technology, money-saving ideas, legislative updates, and all things green. The Shades of Green radio show is presented by the Green Alliance. Now here's your hosts, Paul Ira and Stan Hannell.
Good morning. This is Shades of Green radio show on KDWN 720 AM in Las Vegas. Our show is produced by Green Alliance of Nevada and sponsored by NV Energy, and I'm your host, Paul Ira. We have Paul Jarrett on the phone from Porsche, Gaudin Porsche.
Gaudin Porsche of Las Vegas.
There we go. Thank you. First day with a new tongue. And we have Dr. David James in studio. Good morning, Paul. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Paul Ira as well.
And we also have Stan Hannell from Drive Clean Las Vegas in studio, and Annette Bubek, who is recording us live for Facebook Live. So, Facebook Live folks, give us a shout out with any questions. And if you'd like to call in and ask questions of Dr. James, Paul, myself, or Stan, our phone number is 702-257-5396. That's 702-257-KDWN. So today's topic is electric vehicles and GreenFest 2018. GreenFest is coming up in 2 weeks on Saturday, April 21st from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. at downtown Summerlin. The event is sponsored by Green Alliance to celebrate Earth Day. It is the largest Earth Day celebration in the Valley because it's the most fun.
We have over 100 booths, I think, too. So
over 100 booths.
Yeah, right.
There's music, food, lots of good times for the kids. There's up-purposed, repurposed, and recycled materials used for all kinds of different products and jewelry and what have you. And, of course, we have a beer garden along with that music, so you can drink and watch your kids play and dance.
All right.
Good times. So getting to the electric vehicles, we're going to start with Mr. Jarrett from Gaudin Porsche. Good morning. How are you doing today, sir?
Good morning. I'm doing real well, thanks.
I understand you've been in the automotive business for quite a while. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, actually, I was born and raised in this town. I was born on East Sahara, right next door to Gaudin Motor Company.
Wow, perfect.
right where the Porsche store was, so started early. But actually started in the car business in 1997, so it's been about 21 years. With Gaudin Motor Company. We have a few different locations in town, but I represent the Porsche store here on right off of 215 in South Rainbow. It was a brand new store. We opened it just 2.5 years ago, actually.
Very nice. Mm-hmm. Well, in the GreenFest, we're having the Clean Energy Drive Zone. I understand you're going to have a car or some cars involved in that. Tell us about what you're going to have in the parade.
Yeah, we're actually going to be representing two different vehicles. So Porsche at this moment has two different hybrid vehicles in their lineup, although there's many more to come. But so at the moment they have the Cayenne S e-hybrid and the Panamera 4 e-hybrid. So the Cayenne is the SUV in our lineup, and the Panamera being the luxury sedan in our lineup. So they have the hybrid technology represented in those two very important segments, very popular segments as well. The Cayenne being the SUV is the one that, they're talking about 46 miles per gallon on that vehicle versus 22 in gas. So it's a very efficient SUV. And then the Panamera is actually going through a transition as we speak. So this will be the first opportunity for us to highlight the brand new hybrid, which was totally redesigned last year, and then brought to market literally this month. I mean, it came to our dealership 2 weeks ago, so it's just in time to highlight there. And that's a very high-performance vehicle.
Yeah, and both of those cars, the styling is beautiful on them, too. They're just stunning cars to look at.
Thank you. And, again, the Panamera was totally redesigned. I mean, the only thing that was carried over on the Panamera is the Panamera logo on the back and the Porsche crest on the front. Everything else is brand new from the door.
Wow. Looking forward to that. That'll be great.
Yeah.
Good. So you just jacked up the Insignias and drove in a new car there.
It's all different. And the Panamera the hybrid starts at 462 horsepower, and that's the base hybrid. And then they have a Turbo S hybrid with 680 horsepower.
Wow.
So,
performance and beauty. Wow, that's great.
Yeah, we'll have a couple options for people to enjoy for sure.
Nice.
Sounds like that'll go fast, quick.
Yeah, we'll make it to GreenFest quickly and efficiently.
Good. Don't be driving around. No passing during the parade.
Right.
Well, tell us some of the specs about those cars. Start with the Cayenne. What do you have in that for, like an engine, I know it's a hybrid, so you got multiple pieces in there.
Right. So the Cayenne is what they did with the Cayenne is it's called the Cayenne S e-hybrid, and the S is very important to Porsche. S stands for sport. So I mean the car, even though it is a hybrid, and they added over 700 pounds of weight with a hybrid system, the car is still is not only very efficient, but has a great performance level as well. So we're talking 0 to 60 times in the mid 5-second range, and also 46 miles per gallon, equivalent MPGe on that car versus 22 in the gas motor, as I mentioned. But the car still has 416 horsepower, so you can travel on fully electric, be as quiet as a mouse through the neighborhoods when you're coming home or leaving the house. But still, if you want to engage the power, it truly is the best balance of beauty, performance, and efficiency.
With the exception of the tires squealing, you'll be quiet, right?
Right. If you choose to do so, it is still an S Porsche.
I'm sure it will. All right, we're going to take a quick break here, and we'll be right back to Shades of Green and talk more about electric vehicles. Be right back. Good morning, and we're back to Shades of Green on KDWN. We have Dr. James in studio and Paul Jarrett on the line. How you doing, Paul?
Hey, I'm doing great.
Hey, back at the discussion about your Porsche hybrid vehicles, tell us some more about the Panamera.
So the Panamera, as I mentioned, was totally redesigned, and what they've done here is, for the first time ever, Porsche has put a hybrid at the top of their trim levels. So if anyone out there is familiar with the Porsche line, I'm sure they've heard the word turbo before. The iconic 911 Turbo is the best example of that. Well, again, with the Panamera line, they're transitioning to the future of electrification. And with that, the very top of the line car is called the Panamera Turbo S e-hybrid. And it's a 680 horsepower hybrid vehicle. They do have the base car, if you will, for a hybrid, which is 462 horsepower. Both of them are incredible performers with incredible efficiency.
Wow. That will pop off the line for sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
wow.
and it's part of the transition. So Porsche, this is the very first time they've done that, but they have made public announcements that going forward, everything from the Cayenne to 911, the top of the range will become a hybrid going forward.
Wow.
And that's part of their commitment to electrification.
Yeah.
Wow. And which cars will you be having at the GreenFest?
So we'll have two of them. We have the Cayenne SE hybrid will be there, and also the Panamera hybrid. And again, there are two levels of Panamera. So effectively, we'll have three vehicles, with one for the Cayenne, and then both available for the Panamera. And I know GreenFest is in its 9th year, so it's got a lot of tenure. And going forward, when it comes to our brands, we will have significantly more efficiency and performance vehicles available for GreenFest. So this is just the beginning.
Yeah.
Good. We're looking forward to it.
Yeah. I know. Where do you see Porsche and Volkswagen Group going? I've seen the Mission E concept car, the all-electric Porsche Mission E. Any other type of avenues or directions you think they're going?
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of things happening right now across the world, and especially with Porsche and the Volkswagen Group. So you mentioned Mission E, and Mission E, if any of you are in front of the computer and get up your search engine and put in Porsche Mission E, you'll see a gorgeous, high-performing vehicle there that's all electric. That'll be Porsche's first electric. But Mission E is really a gateway to the future for Porsche. It stands for Mission Electrification, of course, and it's just the beginning of what's happening with Porsche. Now, Volkswagen has announced a program called Roadmap E, along the similar vein there, and they plan in 2022, just 4 years from now, that they will have an electrified vehicle available for every single one of their model lines globally.
Wow.
And that's 300 model lines across the world.
My gosh.
So there are going to be a lot of options. Porsche was famous a couple of years ago, maybe it was 3 years ago, for investing 900 million euro to just the Mission E concept and redeveloping its factory. So, but now they've announced they announced 2 billion more last year, and now they've announced 4 billion more euro. So we're talking about $8 billion US dollars from Porsche alone, just to electrification going forward.
Right. And I know they're also working on infrastructure in Europe, trying to get the really fast charging stations across Europe, and then hopefully in the U.S. through the Volkswagen Electrify America program, too.
Exactly right. And they're really trying to have similar implementations across the world from Europe and U.S. And they're trying to be universal. A lot of other options are not universal to every hybrid, but they're trying to have a Porsche-specific branding to their infrastructure, but also be able to integrate across other brands, because we can't just be focused on just our brand.
Right.
But obviously, all dealer locations will be electrified. They're looking at over 300 interstate locations in just phase one.
Wow, that's great.
That's in the U.S. And these vehicles are looking to charge 80% in 15 minutes. So we're talking roughly 300 miles in 15 minutes.
That's very fast.
That's great.
Tell us, in this race to automotive electrification, how are we comparing to Europe's efforts?
And that's a great question. I mean, it's a cultural shift across both continents, that's for sure. I think that Europe has a bit of an edge on us at times because of some of their legislation. Sometimes makes it easier for them to try new things. We spend a lot of time, trying to make all brands, all vehicles attain to the same level playing field. But I mean, I think that it's occurring across the world at the same time. And again, the cultural shift is happening. And finally, I think what's a big difference here is that people are excited about the performance and efficiency of electric vehicles. I think that we can enjoy the fun and sounds of a petrol motor as much as an electric motor, and I think that's happening across all age groups.
Well, I don't see performance being a problem with electric vehicles. The ones I've driven perform just fine, and I'm come from an old gearhead family, so we used to build big engines, put them in little cars to go fast. So the performance is a non-issue, and especially 680 horse. That should give you everything you ever wanted in a car as far as speed.
We're talking a large electric vehicle going 0-60 in 3.2, and it can go on electric alone. So,
and as you make changes, modifications to the car itself, what's happening to the interior and the driver space?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, when it comes to our brand, and I think that it's probably the same across all others, is that, you really cannot, if you're going to have a cultural shift that we talked about, you really cannot be the one, you can't hurt the driver's experience or the passenger experience or the cargo experience. So that's kept in mind. Now, in our vehicles, in the previous phase, you would lose maybe a couple inches of floor space in the rear cargo compartment. Those things have been eliminated going forward. I mean, the chassis and passenger space is the same, and the driver experience is still excellent.
Well, I've seen years ago at one of these green shows, which I attend a lot of, an electric vehicle came out, and everyone was all excited about it. This had to be 5-6 years ago. But when you looked inside, it looked like it was just plain. It was just a room. And maybe you get rid of a lot of controls and what have you when you get out of the internal combustion engine or away from that. Yeah. But it just seems so plain compared to typical cars.
Yeah, and that's obviously a different approach to the market than we have. I mean, in our particular brand, the Porsche brand, you really put the driver experience first. It's really supposed to be an extension of you on the road. But the key is that it's the soul of a sports car across every vehicle. So the Panamera especially, I mean, that's a 4-seat sports car. All 4 seats, and actually coming up this year, they have a Sport Turismo, which is kind of like a shooting brake or a wagon design, and that has 5 seat belts. But all 4 seats in most Panameras are designed to have an excellent sports car experience and also a luxurious experience. So you're not going to find that with our brand. But Porsche has a saying that's called ACES. It's autonomy, connection, electrification, and shared technology. And so interiors aside, going forward with autonomy, Porsche has committed to, no matter how autonomous our cars are, they will always have a steering wheel in them. Mm-hmm. So, they'll always have a driver capability to enjoy the vehicle.
Yeah, it takes a little getting used to when you make big changes like that. I know with my backup camera, it took me a long time till I could actually depend on it. I still look. So I appreciate your time today, Paul, and thank you for that. And I'm going to come over and drive one of those Panameras.
Very good, Jen.
We'll be right back to Shades of Green on KDWN. Take a short break. Good morning. We're back on Shades of Green on KDWN, 7:20 a.m. in Las Vegas. I'm your host, Paul Ira, and we have in studio Dr. David James, who's worked with the Solar Decathlon team at UNLV, and we're going to talk hypermiling. Good morning.
Good morning, Paul.
So first off, Stan's going to give us a little background on what's going on with gasoline out there.
Right. I think everybody's noticed at the pump that we crossed $3 a gallon, pretty much as an average around the valley and statewide. Even Friday, the RJ had a little publication. The average price in the Las Vegas Valley was $3.02 per gallon, $3.03 throughout the state. The national average is $2.66. It's up 1 cent from a week ago, 13 cents from a month ago, and up 27 cents from a year ago.
Why going so high in Nevada?
Yeah, it's just we do have some road construction taxes that are added on to that, but also we have to import from outside the state. We don't have any refineries or oil wells here, so it comes through the pipeline, and there's more cost for that to come up from the refineries.
So that's our cost for someone else to look at those refineries.
Mm-hmm.
So, Dr. James, tell us a little bit about, first, the Solar Decathlon team. Who are those guys and how are they doing?
Our Solar Decathlon team was an interdisciplinary team of students and faculty from 4 colleges at UNLV, including the School of Architecture, School of Nursing, Hara College of Hospitality, and the Howard Hughes College of Engineering. We competed this past October in Denver. We were one of 11 entrants. We took a first place in innovation and 2 second-place prizes in architecture and engineering. The team had about 50 students. We had about 30 of them in Denver, and probably about 7 or 8 faculty that were advising the students.
Wow, good job. Very nice. We're pretty proud of that team. We had them on the show, and very sharp students. Good project. So as a part of the Solar Decathlon project, there's this new research out, hypermiling. Tell us about the students who worked on that.
We had a commuting competition as part of the home life competition. One of the 10 contests for Solar Decathlon, we had a commuting component where you charged up an electric vehicle and drove 25 miles on different routes. And so we practiced for that competition here in Las Vegas before we went to Denver. I had a student, Manuel de Gracia, who's an electrical engineering major who just graduated, who did the testing and practice for us using a Findlay Chevrolet 2017 Volt.
So these vehicles modified anywhere? Are these right off the showroom?
This was a standard 2017 Volt, no modifications at all. We used it. We couldn't get a Bolt or a pure electric car, so we used the Volt, which is an electric vehicle with a gas generator. And our goal was to drive it without ever having the gas engine come on, and we nearly made it. We only had the gas generator come on once in the month that we tested it.
Very nice. Okay, so now tell us, what is hypermiling?
So hypermiling is basically energy-efficient driving. It's the use of fuel-saving techniques such as lower speeds, frequent coasting, maintaining large following distances, gentle acceleration and deceleration to reduce your fuel or energy consumption.
Yeah, and I think what's neat is it doesn't just work for electric cars, it works for gasoline car drivers as well.
That is correct, yes.
Well, there's a lot goes into it, and some of it's just maintaining your vehicle properly. And one of the things I notice is proper tire pressure and keeping all your tires at the same pressure. Tell us what difference does that make, and are you a proponent of nitrogen?
Not necessarily a proponent of nitrogen. I know it's used in racing to slightly reduce the weight of the tires. Yes, proper tire pressures, keep your vehicle tuned, keep your air filters clean, help to maintain or attain the fuel efficiency of your vehicle.
Right.
Well, the idea on the nitrogen is the molecules are so much larger than oxygen molecules, so you maintain your tire pressure longer.
Yeah, I think a neat thing with hypermiling, though, your fuel efficiency is in your own hands, in your own control, just by the techniques you use to get down the road and use the terrain and the road as well.
And another thing I notice here is keeping your vehicle empty of unnecessary things, so you're not hauling extra weight around. Did you have any extra students in that car there?
On 23 of the 25 runs, Manny was the only driver. He had a passenger on 2 of the runs. And we didn't have anything in the trunk or any gear other than Manny's backpack in the backseat of the car.
So what would be interesting to me is the hypermiling effect on the car as it's loaded differently? So if you got 4 people full of suitcases going on a vacation, and you drove it out and use that as a baseline, would you still achieve as much savings using hypermiling techniques with a full car as you would an empty car?
You would still achieve some savings. I think you're going to have a greater load on the engine to accelerate than you would if the vehicle was only partially loaded. But I haven't looked for any studies that compare the benefits of hypermiling at a full load compared to a partial load. But I think you would see some benefit.
I would think so. Okay. Other aspects of hypermiling and how you drive, the driving itself. Tell us about that.
The basic techniques are to accelerate gently, don't speed, maintain good following distance so you don't have to brake suddenly. Try to use the energy you've accumulated when you're going around turns to not have to apply the brakes when going around a turn. Try to coast to a stop instead of using your brakes, whether it's friction brakes on a conventional vehicle or regenerative brakes on an electric vehicle.
Okay. So like coasting to a stop instead of using your brakes, that's a great idea. That would be a good trick to work on.
Also, synchronizing the lights, looking ahead down the road at the changing traffic lights and the terrain itself. I think, are you going up a hill or down a hill? How to use the terrain that you're driving on as well.
Yes, that's very true. Is spend a lot of time anticipating traffic conditions ahead of you.
Yeah, a lot of lights are timed. Do you know anything about that, the timed traffic signals?
Yeah, I guess it kind of is time of day, and that's done through actually a central command center with the Nevada Highway Patrol building. It's over, I think, on Decatur and Sunset, around that area.
Yes,
but
it is.
They monitor.
It's called the FAST system.
Yes, FAST.
It's run by the Regional Transportation Commission.
Awesome, yeah.
So do the timing of the lights change throughout the day, or
They do. Rush
so they are
commute
different
hours, yeah.
Okay.
The synchronization, so it'll be like east to west will be synchronized over north to south on certain times of the day and certain, depending on how busy those routes are. So say Desert Inn and Tropicana and Flamingo will have more traffic going east and west to the, most of the commutes to the Strip. So they'll kind of vary that during the commute hours. You'll see the lights might be on longer in one direction or in two directions versus east-west versus north-south, and during those commute times. Yeah.
Sounds like an application for smart cities.
Yes.
Yes. The road network in southern Nevada is extensively instrumented to allow the FAST system to optimize traffic flow. Sometimes we are all frustrated by that, but it works quite a bit of the time.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I see considerable difference in traffic patterns, even in a 15 to 30-minute window, a complete difference in east-west, north-south. Okay, how about other aspects of hypermiling? How do you continue to improve your gas mileage, or in this case, electric mileage?
One way you can do that is to record the performance of your drives using a number of apps. And on our testing, we used an app called GeoTracker, which you can see here on the poster, which isn't available on the radio, which you can download onto your Android or iOS or telephone and track your performance each time.
Oh, okay. We're going to I want to talk some more about that when we come back. We're going to take a quick break from Shades of Green. I'm your host, Paul Ira. We'll be right back. We're back to Shades of Green on KDWN 720 AM here in Las Vegas. In studio, we have Dr. David James. We're talking hypermiling as a part of a study for the Solar Decathlon team. Welcome back, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
And, of course, Annette Bobek is over here recording live for Facebook Live. So call in, send us questions. Our call-in number is 702-257-KDWN. Stan, you were going to tell us a little bit about...
Right. Anytime you add an electric motor to a drivetrain, you get a few more benefits that can be applied for hypermiling. Even with, say, a Toyota Prius or the Chevy Volt is a plug-in hybrid. that has a range of 53 miles. And through your study, you were able to actually extend it out to over 73 miles beyond the factory specification range just by using those hypermiling techniques.
That's correct, yes.
That's wonderful.
That's 40% improvement.
Yes. And the neat thing about the Volt is basically when your electric motor in there, when you take your foot off the throttle and you're going downhill or you're coming to a stop sign, that electric motor turns into a generator, actually makes electricity that can be put back into the battery, and you can reclaim through hypermiling techniques about 5 to 10% of the battery capacity just by the way you're driving. So that even augments it even more when you have that components on your system.
Yeah, you can use that to save yourself. I won a date with a Tesla.
Yes, you did.
And I took it up to Mount Charleston, and it didn't have a full charge when I went up. And I was like, I'll be fine. But didn't realize, hadn't factored in, since I'm not an electric car driver, that going up all those hills was going to eat up a lot of power. So when I got to the top of Mount Charleston, I was down to like 20%. I was like, oh, my God, I got to go all the way back down to Town Square to get charged. What am I going to do? So as I came back and let it just coast down all those hills, I got back up to like 35%.
Wow,
I was like,
nice.
oh my gosh.
You can make it.
I'm going to make it. I did just fine. And then went over to Town Square and charged it up for free, so that was a good time. So yeah, it changes your driving techniques. When you're driving a internal combustion engine car, you can look at your fuel gauge. That's all there is. When you're done, you're done. There's no bringing it back. But with an electric car, you can increase your fuel by coasting and using hypermiling techniques.
Yeah, and then also what's neat, we were talking during the break about some of the things they do on the dashboard to coach you in your driving as well. And I think Annette was mentioning the Ford Fusion EV. It's a plug-in hybrid as well. Makes leaves, the better more efficient you drive, it creates these little leaves on a tree. And so you're saying that while you were driving, it was pretty good. When your sons took over, some of the leaves weren't there.
Oh, yeah, for sure. In fact, I take a lot of pride into really watching my trees, and my leaves continue to grow and have a full bush per se, right? I let my kids take the car, and goodness, all of the leaves have dropped, and I've got twigs left.
They like to accelerate.
But it's a great illustration. I think that's part of that visual is teaching and educating the finesse that is involved in getting the most out of these vehicles versus just because it's electric or plug-in hybrid.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you can just drive crazy and still get that efficiency. There is definitely a technique and like I said, a finesse.
And
But,
getting the feedback right away.
Getting
that's
that
helpful.
feedback right away is perfect. Yep.
Yeah.
And teaches behavior.
Just because it's electric, there still is a fuel cost.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's good. And I always play a little game with myself of seeing how much I can get my gas mileage up, even in a mile's distance. It changes my gas mileage. So I have a full digital readout on all of that stuff. So what else, Dan?
Were there other apps that you used during the test? I know you mentioned GeoTracker was one that was handy there as well.
Yes, we located our charging stations using the ChargePoint app.
Very good.
So we had a ChargePoint apps on our phones, and when you sign up with ChargePoint, you get an ID card that you use, which you can
RFID
either
card.
swipe or you can enter it on your phone. We used primarily one charging station at UNLV in the Cottage Grove garage because that was a cost-free station. And then we used that as the standard starting point. But ChargePoint has an extensive network of charging stations in the Las Vegas Valley. And you can find one for just about any vehicle that you have that will take a charger.
Is there varying charger capabilities? I mean, one car will plug in, another one won't.
That's why you have to actually do the search for your particular connector. Some ChargePoint stations use the level 2 J1772 collector, whereas Teslas use a supercharger connector. Almost all of them will have a 120-volt plug for you to plug in when you get home, but that charging rate's pretty slow. So if you wish to have a faster charge rate, you're going to need to find a commercial charging station such as ChargePoint.
How many different connectors are there out there in a commercial?
Right now, there are probably about 7 or 8 different kinds of connectors.
Especially as you get up to the DC fast charge where you're trying to charge in just 15 minutes or so. But if you're willing to wait 4 hours on a level 2 charger, that's pretty universal. You'll find those pretty much every car uses that connector. That's a default standard. So it's a little slower, but the new change is sort of like VHS versus Betamax. To get really fast charge speeds, there's about 3 competing student standards right now. We may even have 4 or 5, like you said. Yeah, so that'll kind of shake out in the future as the standards evolve.
I was going to say, where do you think it's going to take us so we end up with a single plug-in?
I think just over time and usage, it looks like the one that's going to shake out is going to be the combined charging system, which is just like the level 2 charger, but with 2 bigger pins on the bottom to get your DC fast charge voltage and current through there.
What kind of voltage are those chargers operating at?
Yeah, so your level 2 is 240 volts AC at about 32 amps to 40 amps, but the DC fast charge is 8 times faster, so it's coming out at about 400 volts DC at about 100 amps or 50 amps to 100 amps, so way faster. You will find those at Terrible Herb stations. There's about 12 of them around the valley. You have to pay a little money for them to get the premium faster charging, but they have both the CHAdeMO and the standard CCS connector available. When you pull up, you pay $6 to connect, and then it's like 20 cents a minute, but it'll charge up in like 15 minutes to 20 minutes for a Nissan Leaf or a Chevy Bolt EV.
Okay, then summarize. Keep your tire pressure correct. Keep your driving skills, use a lot of coasting, run through those curves, unload your car, take the weight out, maintain your car's speed without using the gas, coast down the hills, and wear comfortable clothing. So I want to remind everyone that April 21st is GreenFest. It's all day long. It's a good time. It's 9 to 5. Bring the kids. Bring your sunscreen. Bring some water. We will have plenty to drink and eat there. There's a beer garden, so GreenFest is also a beer fest. There's lots of good music, lots of fun for the kids out there. We have over 100 booths with products galore. We've got green products. We've got recycled products. We've got art made from old things found laying around. And we've got great food, and it's usually a sunny day in April. So come down and see us at GreenFest, and join us next week on Shades of Green on KDWN. I'm your host, Paul Ira, and you have a good week out there, and keep it green.